Coming into Season 6, we're going to shift gears a bit. While the first few seasons gave us a plethora of themes to evolve over time, following different characters and story arcs, Seasons 6 to 8 use this technique a lot less. While it's certainly still present, it's not quite as prominent, and most of the melodies we are given only last for an episode. There's nothing wrong with that, as the music is still extremely effective. Season 8 especially fulfills a number of themes in a very satisfying way, but a lot of the tracks I'll be talking about for these few seasons are one-offs. That is until Season 9 and 10, when the show gets refreshed with a different musical texture and a much greater use of themes which grow and evolve throughout the story. But back to Season 6. The first episode is intercut between two timelines. The black and white timeline catches us up on the events of the last few days, while the main one throws us into the deep end of a serious situation with a massive herd from a nearby quarry. This herd gets a cool and exciting sound which only appears in the first episode, as it doesn't have too much of a place past there. However, it's the music that introduces us to the black and white sequences that I really love. And as I watched this episode for the first time, the music really made me remember what I love so much about The Walking Dead, and really put me back into the universe. It's nothing over the top, just a simple piano melody, but I found it to be really effective in re-establishing the tone for the show. Episode 3 brings us another one-off track, which I really love. It's short and sweet, but carries a lot of story behind it. At this point, the task is only half complete, with Abraham, Sasha and Daryl still needing to lead the herd a lot further away from home. This short track really captures the scale of what they're undertaking, but with the feeling that there's still a long way to go, and no matter what is happening back home, they have to continue ahead until it's complete. Of course, a major moment from episode 3 comes when Glenn seemingly dies. The music here does an amazing job of making the scene an emotional moment, but still leaving a bit of doubt in our minds as to what actually happened. While you can put clues for people to find in the frame, such as the shirt colour being noticeably different upon close inspection, it's really the music that sets the tone for how the audience should feel in this moment. It strikes an amazing balance. On one hand, it leaves a bit of doubt, since we'd usually expect something a bit grander for such a major character like Glenn. But on the other hand, it seems plausible enough that this could be an actual death scene. Regardless, it strikes the right chords to make this scene an emotional experience, and stands alone as a beautiful piece of music. Episode 4 brings us something very unique, and an episode that I know is a favourite of many people, and it definitely makes my list too. It's called He's Not Here, and tells the story of Morgan's transformation from where we saw him in Season 3 to the person he is now. It's a beautiful story of Morgan's struggles with mental health, as he finds just the right person to help him out. As he's in his crazed state at the start of the episode, he stumbles into a clearing full of flowers and light. In the state of mind he's in, he can't let himself experience joy or beauty, so breaks down. But it introduces us to this subtle and tranquil soundscape, which really characterises this episode. It carries feelings of beauty and peace that Morgan has to learn to open himself to, and is such a powerful soundscape to listen to. Eastman, a forensic psychiatrist, shows Morgan a way out of his torment to a more peaceful lifestyle and state of mind. The music that propels the training montage as they practice Aikido and Morgan starts adapting to this new lifestyle is just beautiful, and makes use of Morgan's new theme as we see how he became the person it embodies. By the end of the episode, through its ups and downs, Morgan finds himself as a completely new man. The soundscape here just transports you to a new place, even before the melody kicks in. We end his story as he follows the signs to Terminus with a fresh rendition of the Morgan theme carrying the scene, before his journey leads him to reunite with Rick's group. The texture of the music has certainly evolved by this point in the series. It's not completely different from the first few seasons, but it has a bit more going on and has introduced some new sounds along the way. One that I really like, which we just heard in the last track and which crops up quite a bit in Season 6, is this string texture which supports different melodies and occasionally stands on its own. It's one of the new sounds I'm a big fan of, and it's great to see new innovations consistently being added. We get a few more melodies which are unique to individual episodes throughout Season 6A, the nice guitar solo for Glenn as we see him emerging from under the dumpster, and again at the end of the episode when Maggie sees his balloons in the sky. A theme for Deanna as she passes the torch to Michonne to build a better future, and to not lose hope no matter how bad things appear. And lastly, a piano melody which pops up a few times throughout the mid-season finale, before creating a really epic sequence right at the end, where it really gets to take the front seat. As the brilliantly directed montage plays out, the music takes over to embody Deanna's scream as she makes her valiant last stand, which feels even more epic than hearing the actual scream. Now, of course, following all of this comes a fan favourite episode, No Way Out. After a lot of conflict and mistrust between Rick's group and the Alexandrians, everyone steps up and joins the fight, working together as a team. As the unified effort fights through the massive herd, the music builds up not unlike the Storm episode last season, to create a very epic and fulfilling sequence, mixing electronic and string instruments in a way that really works. Shifting gears a bit, the next episode is about the closest we get to a comedy episode, and the music has a lot of fun with it as well. Partway through, we get a slapstick chase scene, where the music gradually ramps up the tension as the different elements are introduced. It's a lot of fun and plays on the lightness of what is happening while still keeping you on the edge of your seat. Following meeting Jesus, we get introduced to the Hilltop theme. But the music that comes when the episode ends is what really stands out to me and is made so much more powerful upon rewatching. This is a very happy moment of anticipation for the future as the group look at Maggie's ultrasound photo, but there's a very dark, foreboding edge to the music. Upon rewatch, of course we know that the deal they've just signed up to will lead to the death of Glenn, who will never get to meet his son. All of this is captured so well and is one of the many things that gains a lot of meaning by going back and revisiting it. The tail end of Season 6 is easily one of the darkest stretches of the show, as the group encounter roadblock after roadblock while trying to get Maggie to the Hilltop's doctor. We are given a reprise of the theme heard for the Walker herd in episode 3, but this time with a much darker tone to it. This track returns a couple of times, including the end of Season 8, bookending the conflict with the Saviours in a very rewarding way for anyone who recognises the track after so long. As we get to the end of Season 6, we meet Negan. As far as the theme goes, what he gets mostly consists of a scratching guitar sound, with a short guitar melody that also gets played here and there. It's a nice, scary sound which is easy to bring up and incorporate with other music. It's used as you'd expect throughout the Saviour's arc, particularly in menacing moments where Negan is in power, and it becomes very effective later in seasons 9 and 10, to keep the audience guessing at his intentions. It mainly shows up anytime there's a reference to his past self, or a hint that he could be up to something evil. So, back to it. Following Negan's introduction, the Season 7 premiere gives us a powerful new theme. Variations of this theme are pretty much the only music used in the episode, and I love how much is done with it. The low cello notes start us off by creating a dark, emotional undertone as Rick thinks about all the things that could have happened and can still happen. This is so easily recognisable and makes another appearance again in Season 9 when Maggie comes to take her revenge, but ends up leaving Negan to suffer in his cell. Before the Season 7 premiere gives us the shocking reveal of who actually died, these two notes swell, supported by a few more instruments. There's also an exciting action version of the full theme, as Rick fights his way through walkers back to the RV. The full arrangement comes right at the end of the episode, with a more electronic sounding version as the Saviors are leaving, followed by a complimentary acoustic melody to end out the episode while the group drive away. Season 7 employs a much more electronic sound for a lot of its score. While it's certainly not my favourite sound, it does work well with the industrial feel of the Saviours and this chapter of the story. The track Rise Up is especially exciting as the group resolve to start working towards a retaliation against the Saviours, leaving the mid-season finale off with momentum for what's to come. This also returns in Season 8 as King Ezekiel rallies the Kingdom soldiers to head out to battle, and is just such a powerful track. "7:14" has an incredible opening sequence. Featuring no dialogue, the music really gets to shine and communicate what dialogue wouldn't quite be able to capture. It shows Maggie leading the Hilltop people and Sasha training them up. But the best part comes as a simple shot shows Daryl in remorse for causing Glenn's death. As Maggie brings him dinner, he can't even bring himself to look at her and just loses all strength. With no dialogue, this music communicates so much emotion and brings me to tears almost every time without a word being spoken. As we reach the finale and the first battle begins, the music interweaves between different styles of music, which we associate with the different communities who are joining the fight. It's a very clever way to combine everything, as mixing in different melodies, such as an action version of the Hilltop theme, probably would have felt way too crowded and messy. But because these communities have been set up with unique instruments, we're able to stick with one main action melody and weave between the different instruments for a much more satisfying track. This also works well thematically, as the communities act as one, bringing their unique strengths to fight the same battle. But the most beautiful piece for me comes at the end of the episode. As the communities unite and prepare for the war ahead, it provides a moment of reflection, as well as acting as a eulogy to Glenn. It's been a dark season of oppression from the Saviours, but this ending provides a much needed sense of relief and ends the season full of hope for the future, while honouring and paying respect to the past.